Welcome to Stay on Course with me, Julie Riga. My life has been a roller coaster of highs and lows, but what I know to be true is that when we are grounded in our purpose and savor the sweet moments of life, we are truly a success. Today, you are going to get the ingredients for success because life is salty and life is sweet. Together, let's explore the possibilities of our own lives and learn from thought leaders around the globe. Ready, guys? Let's cook it. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Stay on Course podcast, where we have the extraordinary Julie Loken, owner of Crown and Compass Coaching, as well as many other amazing ventures. But I'm going to let her bring you up to speed on what's going on. Julie Loken, welcome.
Hey, Jules. Hey, Stay on Coursers. Don't get us confused. There are two Julies in the house.
I know it's a little strange, but
it's going to get a little confusing, Jules.
It always is when I'm with you, Jules. Before we get started, tell us about your new ventures in your business.
Thanks, Jules, for asking. And this is Julie Loken, not Julie Riga. Julie's okay.
This is like a disaster already.
No, it's going to be good. It's really funny because we're really funny girls. What are my new ventures? I consider myself someone that is always thinking outside the box, trying to think of how to do things a little bit differently. So I have two podcasts, Obsessed and Femcasters, but that really, while it is my passion, it is not all encompassing. I love to amplify the voices of those making an impact. And I have Femcasters, a collaboration with Karina Belizzi under the Media Casters umbrella. Media Casters is an umbrella of a podcast production company, a book publishing company, and coaching services. And also we hope to launch a speaking community as well. So we are a community of people that really do care. We're a community of people who want to network and to elevate their voices as entrepreneurs.
Amazing. And tell me, Julie, what is your favorite meal?
Okay, so I had to think about this long and hard. And I always say, go back to the basics, stop overthinking, Julie. My favorite meal is a warm, crusty loaf, I'm going to say sourdough bread with unsalted creamery butter. I could eat that all day long. Bread and butter.
Oh,
throw me in jail. Give me bread and butter. I'm good.
Jeez.
I mean, really good butter. You can always make a compound of butter by putting in your favorite spices and or herbs, and then put it in the freezer and just slice it up. It's so delish.
Wow.
Bread and butter. Is that the simplest recipe anyone's
It's totally simple, and I'm totally jealous because I cannot eat bread, but thank you for sharing that.
Bread and butter. Julie Riga and I have a very fun relationship. It's a push and pull. We have the same name, but we were very different, yet we're the same. We're both 48. We both have blonde hair. We both have a teenager or teenagers. And,
you know, it's interesting because Julie and I met on Clubhouse, and we have been working on different kinds of projects together, which has been wonderful. And I really can give you almost half of the credit, maybe 75% of the credit for this podcast, Julie.
Right. And I knew that you're a best-selling author, Stay on Course. It's an amazing book. And I was like, why don't you have a podcast? People don't understand the power of podcasting. This podcast, Stay on Course by Julie Riga, while it is informational, it really is something that inspires and teaches us. It's also a marketing arm of Julie's business, a very important and viable marketing arm as well.
Well, and you know what? What a great segue now to talk about your secret ingredients for expanding your brand. Can you tell me what those ingredients are, Julie?
So, Julie, I'm the author of the Hustle Smart series. And what I've learned is that when you are an entrepreneur or own a small business, you do have to hustle. The word hustle almost has a negative connotation. However, hustling in my mind is persistence. And it's about doing something you love, doing it with purpose. If you are chasing the almighty dollar, if you're chasing that target, you're going to miss it every time. When you are ensuing your purpose as an entrepreneur or small business, you will hit the target. The riches will come and the hustle will not seem like a grind. That is what I mean about hustling smart and being persistent. You have to know your purpose from day one, know why you're doing it. And then when you get those rejections and no's, it does not phase you, because when you are doing something, ooh, I have to make $10,000 on this project, you get there and it's very unrewarding. What's next? What can I do next? Instead of understanding your purpose here on earth. So that persistence, if you are persistent with your purpose, the hustle is not a hustle. It's an extension of who you are intrinsically.
I love that it's an extension of who you are. I love that it connects to your purpose and your passion because it doesn't feel like work anymore. And as an entrepreneur, it is definitely not a 40-hour work week. You sort of have to jump in whenever you have to. Right now it's Sunday, 3:49 in New Jersey. It's 3:49.
Do you consider this work though, Jules? Like I consider this a joy.
Yeah, it is a joy. It is a joy. But I guess what happens for me is when there's so much joy and so many things to do, there are just a lot of balls to juggle. So that's just another conversation for another time. Let's talk about number 2, publishing.
So what I understand, so I have a publishing company, Media Casters Publishing Company. And what I understand writing a book, and you have a book, you have a bestseller, Stay on Course. It is the foundation. It is the underpinning to your success. It is leveraging yourself as an expert in your field. So having a book, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be this thing that you have to do. It can be quite simple. It can be a workbook, but having that book, having something that you can claim as a bestseller is really a leverage in terms of getting you to where you want to go, to telling people, telling your audience that you are an expert in this field and this is why, and you can read it in my book. Without that, I feel, especially for entrepreneurs, it's almost like building your business on sand if you don't have that concrete foundation.
You know what, Julie? What I notice is that people take you way more seriously when you have a book.
That is the truth, sister.
I mean, it's totally true because I know 100% that I landed a TEDx talk because I had a book, period. And, for me, writing my book was difficult. I have a 200-page book. I had to do a lot of research. I had to interview a lot of people. It was quite an experience, but I do know that if I had help along the way, it would have been a lot easier. And Julie, don't you offer like some services or?
Well, we love to empower and educate our authors as much as we love to empower and educate our readers. We are having a course in March called The Pen and the Pod, which we are infusing these principles into a course for entrepreneurs, meaning we know what it takes to leverage yourself, to do things differently than everyone else is doing. And that's what we're going to teach you. We're going to teach you about publishing. We're going to give you a template on how to write and publish a book. And so we have the element of writing the book, and it doesn't have to be as scary as people think. Self-publishing has been made quite easy thanks to Amazon and KDP. And then we're going to teach the art of podcasting. So that is number 3 on my ingredients for expanding your brand, podcasting. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be free. And as Julie is living proof, it is an extension of your marketing arm. It has changed the world. So while publishing leverages you as an expert, podcasting gets your foot in the door. So for example, if I want to interview Oprah Winfrey, I'm just first name that came to my mind, I can go to her and say, Oprah, would you like to be on my podcast? And she would say, of course I would, Julie, of course. And that is how you get your foot in the door, because you are helping other people expand their brand as well while you're doing the same. Therein lies the beauty. Therein lies the beauty of collaboration and growth through podcasting. It's not a vanity project. It is a project in networking and really elevating the voices of people around you.
And it is a powerful tool. I'm learning that now. Podcasting is a powerful tool.
It's a great way to have a conversation with people that you never would have a conversation with. Come be on my podcast. Let me help promote your vision. Let me help promote you. And in return, you will do the same. So when this episode comes out, Julie's going to send me the artwork and I'm going to share it on all my social media, which I detest, by the way, but it is somewhat of a necessary evil, meaning you have to have an online presence. Without an online presence, think about it. You want to Google somebody's name and see that they're there and see that they're legitimate. So you want to see what they're about. It's not about the followers. It's about staying true to your brand and creating a presence, not about followers.
Absolutely. Tell us about what you mean by perception of perfection.
And the fourth ingredient on the Stay on Course episode for today is changing your perception of perfection. It often will paralyze you when you think you have to be doing it the same way everybody else is. And doing it messy, being vulnerable is a way to connect with your audience, to connect with people that you want to be your clients or customers. Nobody wants to be friends with Miss Polly Perfect. I want to be friends with somebody who is fighting for their brand, who lives authentically, who is not afraid to be authentic. Just think about it. Think of someone that's perfect. How friendly or close can you get with them? I mean, you're pretty close to perfect.
That is funny, Julie Loken.
So it can create paralysis analysis. It can create imposter syndrome. It can create so many things because you are comparing yourself to everything else out there. And Brene Brown executes this perfectly in terms of her vulnerability, sharing stories. She even says she has vulnerability hangovers after she gives speeches because she is so raw. You don't want to overshare, but you want to be yourself and you want yourself to reflect in the brand. You don't want to be the fast food of entrepreneurship. You don't want to. Now, McDonald's is amazing, but you can't be McDonald's. You have to be your own self and share those tributes, those triumphs, those tragedies within reason. But I want to hear about what your struggles have been and how you overcame them as well. So perception of perfection. And number 4.
Perception of perfection. And what came to my mind was like failure to launch, because it's like you can sit here and make all the excuses in the world. And I feel like excuses are like the perfection gremlins. They're the ones that don't allow you to get to the place where you can launch that podcast, publish that book, build that website.
Fear of judgment or fear of failure. Fear. What? And I mean, honest to goodness, Jules, we're halfway to dead, you and I. What's holding us back? What's holding us back? When you're on your deathbed, what is that voice and message that you wish you had given out? And why aren't we doing it? It seems so simple, but it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard because there's so many things that you need to do to get there. And it honestly takes a sacrifice. It takes a sacrifice of watching Netflix, looking at your phone, or just wasting time. You have to sort of be laser focused with your time and your targets in order to get to the place you want to be. I would have never been able to write a book with a full-time job and a daughter and a husband if I wasn't extremely disciplined to do that.
Yeah, that's part of the joy. And that's what we want to hear. We want to hear those stories. That's what connects us. That's what connects us, our stories and building those relationships.
And it's not easy. I mean, I don't know what it looks like from the outside, but from the inside in the experience, it's messy. For me, the whole process of doing all of these things have been messy. I'm not going to lie. And I've stumbled over all of it. And so it's just giving yourself the grace then to be okay with those little hiccups and bumps so that you can expand your brand. Because a lot of our audience here today may have a full-time job and trying to, start a business on the side, or they may just be, having their own business, but there is these ingredients to expanding your brand. So
Jules, can I say one last thing?
Yes.
Before we sign off, because I am so inspired what you said. And for anyone that does message you, email you, or get in touch with you, I would love to send them my book, Hustle Smart. So if that's okay with Jules, there are any entrepreneurs that are looking to build their brand or a coaching business, I have a couple books that kind of walk you through this process. So if they reach out to Jules, Jules will send them a copy of my book for free.
Yes, that would be awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Julie Loken, Coach Jules.
Don't get us confused.
Don't get us confused. And if you don't already know this, we do host a lot of rooms on the Best of the Best. The two Jules were on at different times of the week. I think we should get more consistent on that, but we will be on live. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? We do a lot of
the two Jules,
banter,
laughs, tears, crying, joys, triumphs, vulnerability.
Fall.
Julie is probably one of the most integral business women who harnesses authenticity, who is so smart as a whip, but is never afraid to share those stumbles. And she has made that part of her dance.
Yes. As the breadcrumbs of joy, we sprinkle.
And a loaf of bread with butter melted
with
on top.
Butter. With butter. Great.
It's like butter.
So Jules, let's just recap this whole conversation for the ingredients to expand your brand. Number 1,
persistence. Being persistent in your purpose will relieve you of the stress of building a business.
Number 2, publishing.
Publishing is the anchor that leverages your expertise.
Number 3, podcasting.
Podcasting is a marketing arm that allows you a leg in the door.
I like the leg in the door instead of the foot in the door. Number 4, perception of perfection.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Okay. That's the difference between Julie and I. She can sing and I can't.
And without Julie Loken, really, this podcast would not be possible. This has been a MediaCasters production.
Let's cook it.
Let's cook it. Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of Stay on Course. Check us out next week.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Stay on Course. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast so Julie can continue serving up delectable experts and appetizing content directly to your earbuds. And remember, right now, you have the ingredients to be living the life you are meant to live. This has been a production of The MediaCasters.